are the mighty.
A 20-year U.S. Air Force retiree, Hal Roesch II has continued his service past the call of active duty to the service of his fellow servicemen and women all across the country. He is now installed as the 112th Commander-in-Chief of the VFW. John Boerstler is a Marine Corps veteran and the founder and CEO of Combined Arms. His organization was started in Houston, Texas to help veterans accelerate in life and accomplish more. Interviewing Hal Roesch and John Boerstler is Tessa Robinson, the managing editor at We Are the Mighty.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be with you watching today, and my distinct privilege to be moderating this panel. Two very different organizations, the Veteran of Foreign Wars and Combined Arms, yet both focus on serving veterans. John, Hal, welcome. Let's start with the ultimate softball question while we wait for your coffee to kick in. Tell us about your organization's mission. If it wasn't a pandemic, I'd make you arm wrestle for who has to answer first. But Hal, you have seniority with the VFW's born on date of 1899 compared to Combined Arms' 2015 birth date. Hal?
Sure, appreciate the opportunity. Really, we have break it down into three things: camaraderie, service, and advocacy. The camaraderie of being an organization of combat veterans. We've all been there. It's a group of individuals that share the same bonds and life experiences. Service to veterans, military, their families, and the communities in all that we do there. And then our advocacy, what we do every day on Capitol Hill for veterans and the military.
Wonderful. John?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So our mission at Combined Arms is to ensure that veterans and their families have faster, more effective access to resources that they need, ranging from employment to mental health to VA benefits to VA healthcare, and also hold the agencies that serve them accountable for the speed and efficiency by which they deliver those services. So we want to inevitably ensure that veterans and their families have faster, or we're accelerating that successful transition from military to civilian life.
Wonderful, thank you. Both remarkable organizations with incredible missions that we're excited to dive into today. But before we go any further, I want to know what drew you to your respective organization. John, this time you're on the hot seat first.
No, like a lot of Marines, so happy Marine Corps birthday to all my fellow Marines and families out there. A lot of us need mission after we leave the service, after we take that uniform off. And I found mission by serving as a staffer for a United States congressman, and I saw a lot of the gaps in the not only the Defense Department and the VA transition programming, but how community-based organizations really have the opportunity to help fill those gaps and partner and collaborate with the Defense Department and VA and the state agencies. And so a few of my friends, some of the best organizations like the VFW, like VA, like the Mission Continues and Team Red, White, and Blue, we heard from Mike earlier, got together and really, if we wanted to make sure and hold each other accountable and make sure that veterans and their families had better access to resources, we needed to create a backbone organization, and that became Combined Arms on November 10th, 2015. So it's our birthday too, just like the Marine Corps, just
Happy
a little bit younger. Thank you.
There's cake later. And for you, Hal?
Well, for me, I really didn't know anything about the VFW. I got back from Desert Storm. The day after I got back, received a phone call for a local charity that was operating out of the VFW. Told them that I'd bring them a check for the charity, and because I was going to go to Florida, get all the free benefits that they were giving the Desert Storm troops. And I was lucky enough to meet one individual there. He was a post quartermaster, and he took me aside, and he didn't sell me on the stereotypical VFW, the cheap beer and that type of stuff. But he sat me down. He told me what the organization did, from being pillars of their community, providing scholarships to high school, junior high school kids, regardless of whether they're affiliated with the VFW or not, recognizing our first responders, to the advocacy in helping veterans and their families, the survivors, and really sold me on that this was a grassroots doing right thing for the right people, and that's veterans and their families.
Amazing. Thank you both for sharing. It's easy to see your passion for the community as you tell your stories. As you both know, 2020 has been the banner year for the pivot. How have your organizations had to adapt to COVID-19? And any silver linings you found that have come out of the pandemic for your organization's futures?
Yeah, well, we were an organization. We were built around the camaraderie, which involves being together. And when the pandemic hit, that was all stripped away. We couldn't meet at the VFWs. We really didn't have a good direction on where we were going to go. And so we were able to think outside the box and be able to incorporate electronic media, electronic video conferencing to continue doing the work. We were one of the only veteran service organizations that right from the get-go decided we were going to roll up our sleeves and continue doing the work that we were supposed to be doing. And so we adapted, we overcame, we authorized to have full video conference meetings where before that was prohibited. And we've taken it to the next level. We've done all of our training with video conferencing. We took care of business with our Council of Administration to keep the organization going. And the silver lining is I think we realize this isn't going to hurt us. In fact, it's going to help us. We have people that are participating that normally wouldn't be, whether they're homebound, can't drive at night, stationed overseas. They're able now to Zoom in to the local post meetings and be part of something that they initially joined. It's going to change the organization for the future, that's for sure.
No doubt. Accessibility is so important. John, tell us about what Combined Arms has done.
Yeah, Combined Arms is a coordinated services model. So during times of crises, that's when these coordinated services models really come, into the forefront. And so immediately we got all of our partners and member organizations and the agencies that serve veterans and their families on the same page virtually, and made sure that if we can identify the gaps in services and then solve for that. We also kind of identified, based on the many thousands of veterans who have accessed services through our platform, we identified those that are more at risk. Maybe if they had asked for financial or food assistance in the past, or maybe were accessing different healthcare needs. And we immediately kind of proactively reached out to them via text message saying, "Are you okay? Can we help?" And we got a really big response rate. And then we were able to then ensure that they were taken care of by the agencies that provided the services that they needed the most. We also got reached out to by several hospital systems and medical centers because they know that veterans and their families have specific skills and experience as it relates to not only healthcare and the medical field, but also just reacting well during a crisis. And so we were able to mobilize several hundred former medics and Navy corpsmen and folks that had good combat life-saving skills to go and help and fill the gaps that were being created by the nurses and the allied health professionals who were coming down with the virus themselves. So I think a lot of what we've learned, not only in the ability to deliver programs and make sure that our clients were taken care of, is how to work together more effectively. The really, like, one of our underlying philosophies is that all roads lead to collaboration, and our team and our partners, all of this truly is embodied in the Combined Arms mantra of, like, no one unit can accomplish the mission on its own. So we have really found great ways to fill the gaps by specifically, making sure that we're collaborating and communicating effectively, albeit in an all virtual world. So
I love that. All roads lead to collaboration, something I think everybody should take with them today. Shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk about competition and leveraging resources. John, you touched on it a little bit. You're both in the business of helping veterans, albeit with different approaches. What advice would you give about the importance of differentiation and the benefit of overlap to a new entrepreneur?
Yeah, there's always going to be overlap or redundancies or duplication of services or duplication of products in the marketplace. I think what the opportunity is for all of us is to not only understand what the agency or the organization on our left and the agency on our organization on our right does, but how to properly share clients, share data, share best practices, collaborate on a routine, consistent basis, and just and achieve a greater impact together. So the competition is good for the marketplace. I think it improves the marketplace, but it shouldn't lead to higher fragmentation. And I think that's what we're trying to solve through our model and by involving all of these fantastic agencies that we partner with.
I love that. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, it's all about taking care of the veterans and their families, and where the VFW may be a real presence in one community, it may not be in another. So it may be another VSO, American Legion, or a DAV that's picking up that torch and running with it. At the same time, we can't be everything to everybody, and we're recognizing that. And so we need to team up, whether it be with Team Red, White, and Blue, and team up with them to get physical fitness more into the VFW world. We don't have to be the experts. We just have to know who is and collaborate with them. We had a great and still do relationship with Student Veterans of America. We were with them since pretty much day one. We opened up our doors. They have now grown into their own big organization. Good on them. But we still have that bond with them. That's their niche. We're just helping them, and they're helping us.
I love that. In addition to teamwork, one of the most important attributes, as you both know, of a leading organization is accountability. I know this is particularly important to you, Hal. The VFW has been very vocal about VA's abrupt decision to get rid of the 48-hour clock for advocates, a pre-decisional review that VA has offered for more than 50 years. VA says it's out of date. Why has the VFW been so upset by this, and what is your call to action for our veterans?
Well, it's pretty simple. You say it's been going on for 50 years, and what this does is this allows our service officers the opportunity to, when the VA gives an adjudication to a claim, it gives us 48 hours to look at it and evaluate, did they actually take everything into consideration? Is this a fair adjudication of the process? And now that they have taken that away, we've had several instances now where an individual, in one particular case, submitted his claim. 4 hours later, was denied. There was no 48-hour looking as to why. They had to go through the whole process of filing an appeal, which went through and then came back and said, well, now this part is being denied. And all of this could have been taken care of if we had had one of our service officers have the opportunity and have 48 hours to look at it. It's interesting that something's been going on for 50 years. They stopped in April, and now all of a sudden there's a huge cost involved to bring it back. I'm pretty sure that the seats at those desks aren't even cold yet. But, not to bash on the VA. We love the VA. We've been around longer. In fact, we helped establish the VA. But that doesn't mean we're going to be lockstep with everything they want to do. This has got to change. There's a bill, and I want to make sure I get the numbers right. It's the Veterans Claims Transparency Act of 2020, and it's the Senate Bill 3761 and House Bill 7443. So everybody out there, contact your senators and your congressmen. Tell them we need this Transparency Act to go through. We need this 48-hour look at, a grace period, if you will. It's only right for all the veterans out there.
Absolutely. Thank you. John, Texas Veterans Network is providing resources and accountability to veteran service organizations across the state of Texas. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Texas, as everybody knows, is currently the second largest population for veterans in the country, soon to be number one, depending on how the census works out. Watch out, California, we're coming for you. But it's also one of the biggest destinations for transitioning military and their families. And so what Governor Abbott and the Texas Workforce Commission really envisioned is the first interconnected state for veterans and their families. And what does that mean? It's really combined arms. Like, no one unit can accomplish the mission on its own. We have to overlay the bus maps, essentially. So ensuring that the state agencies that serve veterans are now able to share clients, share data, share best practices with the federal agencies, and bilaterally sharing with the community-based nonprofit organizations so that no veteran will fall through the cracks when seeking different services. We're now holding them accountable for that speed and efficiency and making sure that we're sharing everything accordingly. All of the data that we collect based on what clients need in Texas can then help impact and influence policy making at the highest levels, be that at the state level or the federal level. So a lot of the best practices, a lot of the lessons learned that we're going to really be guided by this whole process of launching the Texas Veterans Network will inevitably help other states and other communities really figure this whole thing out and ensure that our veterans and their families are taken care of for long after.
Wonderful. And I think, speaking of great things for veterans across the United States, I think you have some news about a pitch contest you wanted to share.
I do, yeah. So, and happening in Texas, in San Antonio, in May, the Military Influencer Conference. Get ready. USAA Foundation is sponsoring a pitch competition for veteran-serving nonprofits to compete for a $35,000 prize, or multiple prizes, rather. And so it's a really cool opportunity to go online and check it out at combinederms.us/institute. And there you'll find some information, more information on how to apply, how to get registered for the pitch competition. And we'll see everybody there, because I think it's going to be a blast. And so thanks to USAA Foundation and the Military Influencer Conference for bringing this opportunity together. And we're really happy and excited to facilitate with NAVSO as now part of the Combined Arms Institute.
That's awesome. We're looking forward to that for sure. Last question, and this one is very near and dear to my heart, as we see the power of storytelling every day at We Are the Mighty. We all know that data speaks for itself. John, since launching, the Combined Arms veteran community has made an economic impact of over $998 million. Hal, as you know, the VFW alone has helped veterans recoup over $9 billion in VA disability compensation and pension benefits. But I'm not interested in the data right now. What I want to know, what one story stands out for you? What's one time that you witnessed firsthand your organization's impact?
You want to go first?
You guys, you can fight over it.
All right. Well,
Hal, you're first.
It's just one of our many. The first thing that comes to mind, one of our many projects is in programs that we have is our unmet needs, which is a program we have for active duty and those recently separated, which is a grant to help them through some hard times. And we had one individual. He was in the Army. He was an MP, suffering from PTSD at a bad time in Texas. I believe it was Harvey who had just come through, trying to find a job. He had some medical issues, thought he was going to be medically discharged. That didn't happen. Long story, he was at his wit's ends. And when I mean wit's ends, he was underwater. He was in a dark, dark place. He was sitting out in front of a hotel that him and his fiance and child were living in. And he decided that the easiest, most effective way out of this was to end his life and allow his fiance and child to have his life insurance. And he was sitting in the car with the pistol on his lap. When his fiance and the child came out, he knew he couldn't do it in front of them. He put it away, walked inside, and when he walked inside, there was the notification from the VFW that he had got a grant for $1,500 from the VFW, which didn't correct his position, but it brought his head above water enough that he could now see a little bit clearer, and he found a way out. He's now employed with the Postal Service. He's going to college, pursuing a law degree. Just one of the great success stories from that program alone.
It's a little windy in here. John, your turn.
Yeah, actually, a somewhat similar story from a Marine who was discharged when he thought he was going to be medically discharged for malingering, because he had constant stomach pains and he couldn't train. He couldn't be a part of his unit, so they processed him out without benefits. So admin separation, or general under honorable conditions. And we all know that you can't access certain benefits. So he essentially found out 3 days after he was discharged that he had stage 3 cancer, and he had to go out and get care on his own, and had racked up debt up to a tune of $150,000 or more for his family. And so he was really struggling for those years, not only in recovery after getting cancer treatment, but how to successfully transition without the status of an honorable discharge. So when he came to a Vet Connect Day, we have these great opportunities to involve all of our partner agencies, including the VA, VFW, Wounded Warrior Project. He came into a Vet Connect Day to actually connect with one of our job placement agencies, Next Stop, and because he needed to get a job and didn't know how to translate his skills and experience learned as a Marine before he got cancer. And when he walked in the door, we also realized what the opportunity was to rectify the benefits issue and the discharge status issue. So he went straight to the Wounded Warrior Project claims team, who sat right next to the VA's decision review officer, and they were able to make a decision on the spot after going through his medical records, after going through his discipline records, and finding no error on his part. It's just an error on the services part, and not only able to get I think still is one of the largest claims decisions in Wounded Warrior Project claims history, which is a great success, and not only help him repay a lot of that debt by giving him backdated benefits, but he also got a job. He also got connected to financial and assistance for his family, all in that one opportunity. And that's truly what we do as an entity, is Combined Arms, is bringing these partners together and ensuring that these veterans and their families don't fall through the cracks.
Thank you. I love that those are just two stories, and we know there's thousands more that are untold. I want to thank you both, John, Hal, for being with us today. I want to thank you for your service to your organizations and to the military community. And with that, we're wrapping up and going to Trey.
Thank you so much, Tessa. Really grateful to have had a front row seat to that conversation. So John and Hal, thank you as well for sharing all of that. Now, earlier we showed you some throwback photos, and I want to show you one of our next speaker, Vincent Rocco Vargas. There he is.